Hey guys, welcome back to the Fool Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. Wow, I just wanted to give you some of my thoughts, observations after Michigan's much closer than anticipated 34-27 victory over the Maryland Terrapins. And it brings up a couple questions. Number one, did playing 3 cupcake games kind of make Michigan not tested enough, right? If they would have played a mid-quality team instead of 3 bottom-dwelling teams, would they have been more sharpened, more ready for Maryland? Probably. Also, the question is this more of a cause or a concern that Michigan isn't as good as people think? Or is this on the reverse flip side that Maryland is better than people think? If they were 3-0 and they beat SMU, fine, it's like, where is it? And we don't know, and we won't know until the end of the year. I mean, perhaps this will be like when Michigan beat Colorado years ago, and it was seemed like a nothing win, but then Colorado ended up being like a top 10 team, I think, at the end of the year. I'm just saying, you don't know how good Maryland's going to be till the year is over, nor how good Michigan will be till the year is over. Lots of questions to be hammered out, finding those answers. But let's talk about this game. Obviously, it starts off, of course, with JJ. Cade's still hurt. I saw a photo of him coming out, nice knee brace on, leg brace. He obviously wasn't ready to play today. I don't know if he'll be ready to play at Iowa either. Probably not. And that's going to be a much harder environment for Michigan. But JJ had an up and down game, I would say, right? He could hit those intermediate throws, and he probably should have just kept taking those. It seemed Michigan was clicking, going very well, until they started taking deep shots. And the problem was not that the deep shots weren't open, just that JJ was missing them. Right, Roman Wilson was open for one. I think Andrew Anthony was open for another. I think he missed about 4 of deep shots where people were open and the throws just weren't there. Now, again, you're going to have games where you're just not on. I mean, his closer range passes were on. He did very well on the crossing routes, like the one to Roman Wilson where it was like a post pattern to the corner of the end zone. That was a very good throw. So it was an up and down game, right? He didn't play that great, especially the first half. He had 2 fumbles. Michigan luckily recovered both of them. And he had some of those scramble plays where it's just like, oh man, just throw the ball away. It turned a 3rd and 10 into a 3rd and 25 because of a fumble that luckily was recovered by Michigan. So, yeah. So, up and down days, right? But again, he's a sophomore, and that's what you kind of expect. Has that rap about him, right? That he'll make those spectacular plays, and the problem is that he won't know when it's just time to give up on a play, and will try to make the play every time. And that's just a balancing act. That's what Cade did great, right? Cade just gave you the play. He didn't necessarily take those chances, and it works very well some of the times, but then it doesn't take you to the next level, right? Just when JJ had been having an okay game, I mean, it was, the second half was okay, but then that third and about 4, I think it was, he had, I think, a Ronnie Bell down on a go route. He beat his guy right off the line, hit him right pretty well in stride, got a nice 48-yard gain on 3rd down. That set up the field goal, put Michigan up, double digits again, and that was really big there to get that. Another concern I would have to say for certainly is the defensive line. Now, scheming and all that is definitely part of it, but the defensive line was not getting home pressure-wise. I believe they had 0 sacks on the starting quarterback Tua's brother. But they got 3 on the backup on the last drive, but still, I think he had 0 sacks on the starter, which is not a good sign. I mean, they would get some pressure, but you weren't getting home. Obviously, Mike Morris had that beat his guy around the edge and hit the quarterback, and that got him to sit out for a play, which actually ended up kind of forcing a turnover because, they had to punt. But not much pressure. Not much pressure. The defensive line has got to get better, has got to get more pressure. And again, some of that's not just the 4 guys starting. It can be the linebackers. The run attack by Maryland was very effective. Michigan kept giving up 5-6 yards a rush for a few drives there, and then they kind of fixed it a little bit for the 3rd quarter, and then it kind of went back to being normal again in the 4th quarter. So where's Michigan's defense, right? Because now you're playing what everyone has said is a quality offensive team in Maryland, right? No doubt they're a good team offensively. but where are they? And Michigan needs to address some things, right? So that's just what it is. Michigan played a good offense, and they gave up 27 points in the end. Again, another little nitpick thing I'm going to say is that, the defense kind of just let off thought the game was over when it was 15 points, and then there goes Maryland down and just scores a touchdown, and they're an onside kick recovery away from, having the ball and going for a game-tying touchdown. So it's like Michigan just went to coast mode too quickly. Positive sides, though, of course, you had great interceptions by Turner, I think it was, and Moten in the second half. Just the one where he tipped up to himself was excellent. So just spectacular there on those interceptions. So obviously, it's great to have these positives and negatives that you can work on, build off of these negatives especially, in a win, right? Michigan got tested. They came out with a win. That's what really matters. Michigan is 4-0, 1-0 in the Big Ten. That's great. Obviously, the star of the game, no doubt, is Blake Corum. 30 carries, 243 yards. 234, I think I said it backwards. But the most yards since Karan Higdon in 2017. And he just ran very well, even when Nebraska... Why did I say Nebraska? Even when Maryland was looking to shut him down, he was still able to bounce it and get some big chunk plays. The 4th and 1. Obviously, the 3rd and 3 or 4 there at the end where it was, Michigan really needed that score and they got it. So Blake Corum ran very well, very shifty, made some guys miss to add big chunks to his yardage. So really cool there. Definitely the star of the game. So, there's a lot to take from this game, a lot to work on, but never apologize for a win. Never apologize for a win. Michigan's got the win, has lots to learn, lots to adjust, and they get a week to do it and get ready to go on the road to play Iowa, who's going to be probably the toughest defense they're going to play all year. They're going to go up against Iowa, and you're going to have the passing attack clicking better. You're going to have it so you don't miss those open shots downfield. But again, great to work on those things when you get the win. Because you know what? Michigan still got all their goals ahead of them. And just see how it goes. Maybe this was like the Rutgers game of last year where, Michigan got up 14-0 it was, and you thought it was going to be like Coast Central. And then Rutgers didn't go away. And Rutgers stayed in the game, and it was a fight to the very end. So maybe it's that type of a game. But again, we won't know until the season fully wraps up how good Maryland is and how good Michigan is, until all the stats and all the records are compiled. But all I got to say is it was fun to have a stressful game again, right? 3 cupcakes. I see the positives of that, but man, having the stressful game and pulling out the victory is fun too, and in its own way, So that's really cool. So those are my foolish thoughts. What do you guys take away from this game? Are you worried about JJ? Is he a little too erratic for you? Are you worried about the defensive line? Any other things that I might have missed that you think, boy, that's a concern? Let me know in the comments below and I'll try to respond. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Until I see you guys next week after the Iowa game, as always, go blue.